All right, this video is just basic how to skin a deer. I wasn't happy with other ones I saw on YouTube, so I figured I'd do one, hopefully have some close-ups and show you how to do it, or at least the way I do it without getting a bunch of hair. First thing, I'm gonna use 2 knives during this process. One is just gonna be for removing the hide, and then I throw that to the side, and then I grab another knife, clean knife, for actually deboning it. First thing is, I like my knives sharp. Like, you should be able to shave with your knife. The other thing, while I'm at home, if I have access to it, I'm just going to use everything I can. The best thing I've found for removing or keeping your meat hair-free, shop vac and paper towels. Okay, so we're just going to get right into it. Always think about where your cut is and what the hair is going to do. If I start down here and open up this leg, then when I get up to here, this hair, if I cut any, might end up on my meat. So this is how I do it. Use the back part of the blade, because I use this edge of the blade for a lot of my skinning. Back here, because I'm running on bone. Okay, and this part, yes, there's a little bit of hair that falls. Some guys don't like that. Okay, I don't like hair. Start up there, and then I'm going to go down and then come out right here. This is that deer that I showed in the field dressing. All I have is a hole in the back end for the butt and a small area in the chest. So knife under, and as much as you can, run the blade under the skin and down. Okay, get all the way through. There's always going to be hair that you cut, even when you're cutting blade out. Stop right there. I don't want that hair in my meat. All right. It's actually kind of tedious to get the legs started, but this deer is not that old. It's about 4 hours ago I shot it. Hide pulls very easy. And for right now, all I'm going to do is pull down to expose this tendon, because my gambrel hook is going to go right in there. Okay? Onto the other leg. I cut far, because this is the one time where, yes, I know, I'm cutting through the hair. Okay? I do it far away from what I need. My pants end up getting plenty of hair on them because I wipe my blade on it. Underneath, knife blade up, run it along. And while I'm here, see, you're always going to get that. Take care of it now. Keep it off of your animal. While I'm here, I'm going to make this cut as well. And I'm not always so spoiled. I've done deer on the tailgate of my truck without being able to even hang them. The more primitive your environment is, the harder it is to keep things clean. But if I have a nice clean, somewhat clean garage, why not take advantage of the things that I have right here? Okay. Now, I have kind of a low ceiling in here. People make the mistake of cutting way up in here. I need a little bit of this tendon to remain attached. I'm just gonna cut this off right now. Okay? Now if I cut this other one right now, all of that bone dust is going to end up on my meat. So I will make sure that I can move that somehow so that it is not over top of my meat. Damn it. Pause right here and not go any higher. You zoomed in nice and close, Scoop. Okay, you'll see. Even vacuuming it, you're going to have a little bit of hair. I'll show you what we're going to do with that in a second. If you notice, I'm not taking this right down to meat right away. I'm leaving this silver skin snotty membrane because I'm not going to let this hang overnight, but that membrane will quickly begin to dry out and all of the hair would be stuck to it. Okay? And when that hair is all stuck to it and it begins to dry out, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna remove a lot of this while it's still hanging by taking my blade underneath the surface of it, and I'm gonna run that blade down as an example like that, pull it, and then that hair comes with it. The other option is keep yourself some paper towel handy. While it's still sticky like this, you see where there's some hair on there? Pinch with it. Okay. You will not fight picking all of this off later if you catch it now. Okay. So I'm gonna, I'll do a part 2 video. I'm gonna leave this hair that's on there to be able to show you it later. All I have to do now is one good grip and the hand and push down. I'm in central Wisconsin. It is right at freezing tonight. I don't like leaving my deer hang, especially not prior to skinning. Okay. If you come to the back side, people really fight with the tailbone sometimes. You pull down until the tailbone is starting to separate, and you just come back to the base and just go down. Again, I'm not using the tip of my knife. I want that sharp for the rest of this work. You move it around, wiggle, you will eventually find the tailbone, there's joints in it, okay? You find that joint and you cut right through it, and that's it. You don't have to jerk, you don't have to pop, you don't have to pull. It'll just cut. Okay, we're gonna go up a little higher. Okay, grab anything we'd like and just begin to peel down. Okay, now when it starts doing this, Don't worry about what's going on here. Don't try getting in and cutting. Just remember, you're working with the hide. That's my hide there. You can kind of see the difference in color. Come back to the hide and get it to start so that you are once again pulling hide. Okay, see I caught, as sharp as this knife is, I caught that little bit of hair that's right there. I see it now. If I bump it and move it around a bunch of times, I'm not going to see it later, but it's going to be all over my meat. I will just stop and take care of it now. Okay. Again, we're in the hide. On this side, we want to get back to the hide. This, again, if you're ever in doubt, you can, before you cut, run your hand up, feel where it is, and then come back. Okay, this is so warm that I could just grab this and rip all the way down. It doesn't work. You will have to cut every inch if you let this cool off, or worse yet, freeze. Okay, before I get too far down, I want to start taking care of these legs. Okay, so I cut my legs off right there. There's nothing back here for meat. So if you take where brown meets white, and if you see how the grain of the hair is like that, if I cut like this, I would cut all of that fur. If I cut here, I'm going to have less fur, right? And I'm going to make this kind of like a Y. It's going to go up the back of the leg to the ribs, and then I'm going to come up, okay? Hair on the brisket makes an awfully big mess, okay? This is where I really like having the shop vac. So I'm going to start way down here until I get underneath that hide. Okay? Believe it or not, it's harder to do this when you know you're being videoed. To the back, up, and now, no matter how I do this, I've tried all different directions, I'm going to cut a bunch of hair. I didn't flip the knife out. I don't want to disturb all the hair. Again, I have the tool. I'm going to use it. Anything I can do to minimize it right now. Back to the other side. In, because it's hard to poke into that material. Back up a little, Coop. I don't want to slip and catch you with the knife. Okay, where white meets brown. Coming up, just underneath the hide. Up, over. So I'm trying to do this under and pulling the blade out. You don't end up with as much hair cut, but there's still hair. I'm not going to need any of the front leg. You'll see here, we're going to catch that with the paper towel. So above the joint, and above the joint. If you wanted to, you could skin out the leg the way I did the hind, so there would be less hair at that cut. I may or may not need this knife for most of this because it is such a fresh deer. Okay, so now I'm getting to the point where I'm tugging on that, tugging on that. Now it's time to work and peel that hide off of my brisket. I'll just come down. I'm not worried if I'm cutting meat or fat until I can get a nice handhold. You come around to the other side too. Okay, once I have a nice handhold, I can now take this and pull down. Okay, see how I'm fighting some material there? Don't cut into the hair, or actually, if we want to be safe, we'll come inside and loosen it. Same thing on the other side. We'll go under and lift up. Okay. All right, see how we've kind of exposed it? The side here too. Now it's just a matter of pulling hide down. Pulling hide down. Pulling hide down. Eventually, you will reach a point where you will either tear through like this, which is a good thing, or if you can see here, you can see the light through. If you needed to, you could take your knife and punch through, or a finger. Off my legs. There's not going to be a whole lot of neck meat because that is where this deer got hit. Necks, I've just never had good luck with them just sliding. I end up having to cut quite a bit. We're kind of at that point. Here's her ears, so I don't have a whole lot of neck to go. This is a very small deer. I'm not going to get hardly anything off of her for neck meat. And we're already at the point where it makes a difference if you have a buck with a neck like that. You see that much neck? Well, right there is all esophagus. There's nothing here for meat. That gives you an idea of how much meat am I going to throw away from this deer? Maybe 6 ounces. So that is the end of how far I'm even going to come down. The hide does a fairly decent job of collecting hair for you. Now we're going to take a look at the deer as a whole. No hair anywhere here. Nothing there. A little bit right there, so let's take care of it now. Anywhere we see just a little bit of hair, it's time to catch it. A butcher shop, they might be a little better about not cutting hair, but I can guarantee you they're not picking this hair off. It's just grinding up in your burger. Okay, once your paper towel begins to get wet, it doesn't grab hair as easily. So just keep rotating and keeping it to be dry paper towel that you're pinching with. Seen anything else, Scoop? We're not going to worry about that up there. I'm not going to try to save ribs on this animal. Okay, and we already discussed hair back here, that side, a little bit. I'm not going to worry about this. As you can see, it's already starting to dry. Okay, this side is still quite wet. This dry membrane, the drier it gets, the easier. I don't have any hair to get there, but the drier it gets, the more it becomes leathery. And to me, it's easier to trim this silver skin off while it's still hanging in its natural shape, versus me throwing it down on the cutting board and trying to make it flat when it started off as something round. Okay? And that's how I do it to minimize hair. I don't know that there's much else to say about it. Good.